This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
There he is, folks. It's Monday at 10 a.m. For those that are new to it, we moved Jeff to 10 a.m. because, A, we like him off the top of the hour, and B, the emails are flowing, Jeffrey.
Oh, no.
They are ready to rock and roll after what we saw this past weekend, which that was a vintage Bison football performance.
Bison of old. What I wrote in the game story is it looked like their old self, their old formula with the defense, which was obviously suspect coming in after a couple 200-yard rushing games. The most starts up front. I mean, Dylan Hendricks had his best game as a defensive end. There was up and down the lineup. And we can't go without talking about the adjustments, I think, were made with Sam Young going to more of a strong safety.
Correct.
And Darius Givens going in the starting lineup as a free. I think Enoch saw more time.
Enoch's been playing more and more the last couple of weeks, and he's a bullet out there. Just attacking defense.
Good
offenses.
feet. He has good feet.
He's quick too. That's those are the obvious ones that come off. Jalen Crumby played for the first time as well, healthy enough, and he played quite a bit of nickel as well in that other safety spot. So there have been, as we talked about, Tim Polisic said it, there have been adjustments made, and it certainly seemed to. For all we talked about last week of Illinois State's ability to run the football, they just could not do anything. And they started the game, by the way, curious. They threw 2 passes to start the game, which I thought was odd.
Brock Spack cannot find a quarterback. He cannot. I mean, since Trey Roberson left after the 2015 season, he has just had trouble finding a quarterback. He's gone the portal. There was promise at some points, didn't work.
Mixed results there.
Rittenhouse is an in-house guy. He looked pretty ordinary, I thought.
I thought Rubley's got an okay arm, the backup, the K-State guy from Kleiman's
a little
team.
slow,
but,
though.
Yeah, he can't move, though. But you're absolutely right. That has been, and it's ironic because Matt Brown was honored at halftime, and he was a tremendous quarterback for Illinois State, and Bison fans will remember him. And I was talking with Kyle about him because he played the last time that the Bison were in Normal when Kyle was on that team. He and Roberson are the last 2 great Illinois State quarterbacks. That's a decade ago.
Yep.
And that's why they're at where they're at.
That's why they've been 6-5, 7-4.
That's why they've been in the league where they've at. They've been lucky to get if they got to 7 wins. They've been stuck at 5 or 6, and unless he plays out of his mind here, and I said this to you last week, and I said this as well on this show. I was wary of who they beat, Illinois State. They had beaten North Alabama, Western Illinois, and Eastern Illinois, 3 teams that combined for 1 win. That was in the back of my mind as well when thinking about this football game.
So did that play a role in your pick there, buddy boy?
The defense played more of a role in my pick.
Okay.
Like I knew because Spack wants to run the football, and I'm like, until I see it, I'm not going to pick. And the Bison
I don't
came out in
discount
spades.
your theory, right?
On Saturday. Let's start the emails with this. Jeff and Dom, was a great team win on Saturday. All facets of the game executed at a high level. There have been plenty of ups and downs through the first 5 games of the season, but overall the attitude seems to be back. The Rams are blocking with a purpose. The backs are running hard, and finally the defense was flying around. The attitude or swagger seems to be coming back.
Well, why do you need me then? You just keep reading the emails from the listeners.
There's a few more coming in here. Jeff and Dom, as a Bison fan, I've watched every UND and SDSU game this season, and there's a part of me that argues UND is the better team. Thoughts?
Well,
I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
South Dakota State has more talent than UND.
Until you see different, I think that, the old theory, until you see different, schedule and, Schlossie had a pretty good column. Now the schedule gets real for UND.
I would caution that just what I just said about Illinois State. I would say that now. Here's what I would say to give UND its flowers. They have completely surpassed my expectations,
100%.
offensive line-wise,
100%,
and defensive line-wise. They have played up front. They have played really, really well.
the schedule is unbelievable after going to Ames, Iowa, which isn't the longest road trip ever. Home, Fargo, home. Not on the road, a true road game until October 26th at Youngstown.
Correct.
And given the recent history of this program, how good they are at home and on the road has been a little suspect, that is incredible.
Yep.
Then they're home against November 9th, 16th.
The end of the season is brutal. What they have at the end, those 3 games to end the season
Illinois
is going to be
State
tough.
to end, I don't think.
But that's on the road, though.
Yeah.
So just throw that in. And the stat line, and Brad spelled it out perfectly in his column over the last 7 years, what this team has done away from Grand Forks and what they've done inside the Alara
a
Center.
true Jekyll and Hyde. It's unbelievable.
It is as crazy as you get on that. Another email comes in. Big hypothetical here. Say the Montana schools and NDSU, SDSU move up to FBS. Could UND win a title without those 4 teams in their way? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, for sure.
South Dakota would be in the conversation there as well. Coyotes might be in the conversation now.
Yeah.
With what they did.
God, they've been good.
South Dakota looked awfully impressive. They blitzkrieg Southern Illinois, and that game was over at halftime.
There's a real separation going on already in the Valley, a big-time separation.
Which we thought. I didn't have UND in there, but I had the other 2.
But it's the manner of which Illinois State lost last week, the manner in which Southern Illinois got handled by South Dakota.
Yep. I completely
A true separation. Youngstown, forget it. Northern Iowa's we'll see where they rack up here.
So Northern Iowa has the Jacks this week.
Yep.
And that game is in Cedar Falls.
That's their season there. Because what are they, 2-3?
They're 2-2 right now because they had a bye this past week. So, but the 2 wins that Northern Iowa have are St. Thomas and Valpo, which were, by the way, they struggled with St. Thomas for a bit in that one before they ended up winning that game.
I talked to somebody who was there, and Northern Iowa was lucky to win.
Yeah, I think physicality and line play has been the separator of why the 4 Dakotas are where they're at, and I think you're not going to see that change. By the way, UND was the question mark because their quarterback, which we'll get to in a second. The other 3 are the 3 teams that had returning QBs, and that's why they're at. South Dakota State, to go back to the emailer's point, I want to get back to the Bison here. Gronowski has been up and down. He has not looked great so far this year. That's what I'm curious to see if it starts. They had a bye to see now if it starts when they open play at Cedar Falls.
Yeah, it's surprising considering his pedigree and we thought he'd be at Northwestern or wherever this year. I thought Bo Belquist is he's a power 4 guy. He is. How UND was able to keep him is a pretty good deal for the Fighting Hawks.
And you'll rip the Band-Aid off now because every Bison fan wonders why he's not playing in Fargo.
Well, that story's 5 years old now. But
it gets brought up every time he's still playing.
He's the best receiver in the Valley. Can we say that?
He's the best receiver in the Valley. He's in the conversation. I'm not going to go there yet.
Oh, I'm going there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the best. I think he's in the conversation.
24 receptions, 5 touchdowns.
Yep.
Going long this year. Showing speed.
Bryce Lance might be in that conversation too, by the way, of being in the top of the Valley. Griffin Wilde be in the conversation. South Dakota State's awfully darn good. So I just pump the brakes on that. He's really good. And that's obviously a topic we're going to get to in a minute. Marty Brown had a second consecutive 100-yard rushing game. Barika Penu got into the end zone. Bison offense has been nearly flawless all season. Was again certainly on Saturday.
Marty Brown is every bit of Bruce Anderson, Lance Dunn, all the good Bison backs they've had. There's no question. He's a redshirt freshman. You think back to what Bruce Anderson did as a redshirt freshman. It's hard to make an immediate impact like he has.
Yeah.
But he just bounces off people. He's tough. He breaks tackles.
Yep.
He's got that vision. I just think this guy, now you got to hold on to him.
There's always the question on that. And he was just named the newcomer of the week was Marty Brown. So
what a nice kid too. He just seems like just a fun guy to be around. And I know his teammates really like being around him too. He talked to Gray Zabel. I think we talked about it last week. Well, I talked about it in the pregame show. He's always smiling out there, is what Gray said.
The Eli Mostart was named Defensive Player of the Week, and that goes to what we were talking about. Bison defense was just great on Saturday. 5 sacks. They were in Rittenhouse's face all day long. They were making pop plays. And what I mean is people were popping off the screen. And that was the case, at least for me, for watching the game on Saturday.
Maybe they struggled on the tempo that East Tennessee threw at them. East Tennessee was just so high tempo, and it's hard to practice against that. Illinois State, as we see here, was more traditional. And I think NDSU just felt better going up against a more traditional team because they see it every day in practice.
And by the way, the Redbirds still had the reigning Valley Player of the Week, Offensive Lineman of the Week, J.J. Gaudet, who Loshaka Rokes beat on that play, transfer from Minnesota. They beat up the Illinois State offensive line. They were constantly in the backfield, which we had not seen yet.
Yeah, the Bison backs were two yards into the pile before things really got interesting.
There's a great play by Sam Young. That's what I'm talking about. Go and make a play. And he did. That was a TFL right there. It was a great play by Young.
Good angle. We've seen a lot of missed angles on Bison D-backs this year.
Another one there.
There's like 3 guys that could have got him there.
That was the start. That was the first series of the game when Mostart got to Rittenhouse. And, boy, I looked at Kyle like, well, that's just something we have not seen. Just something there. That's Sibamana flying through there to get on Rubley. That
was fast. Can you replay that by chance? Oh, my goodness.
He can move. There was another big pass breakup that the Bison defense had. Watch
us just rocket.
He's going to fly. This is Sibamana flying through
Look
there.
at that. Now that is...
Yep. Granted, he was unblocked.
Division I speed.
He was unblocked in the play, but he got there in a hurry.
Well, the quarterback just kind of looked up like, what was that? Where did he come from?
That's something that we have just not seen. And now as you get, this is the stretch here. We always label it the gauntlet. They got through game 1, 3 more to go with UND on deck. But that's encouraging. And I guess for adjustments, you go back. The Towson game, again, they had, 3 straight 3-and-outs and a pick before Towson had the long drive and then hit the home run play. Prior to that, they were playing pretty darn good.
So there were signs. There were signs.
I think so, but it wasn't consistent.
No.
It was consistent on Saturday. That was overwhelming in that. And the other consistent part before we go to break is Cam Miller, Jeff. You mentioned it on Bison Game Day to get your ballot in now. I think we're not halfway through the season. We will be on Saturday. That he's got to be the overwhelming favorite for the Peyton right now.
Right now, I guess, our stats going to be prolific enough.
His stats are pretty darn good. He's only
completion. I know completion percentage is unbelievable, but voters, right?
I am one. Yes, I know them.
But okay.
Yeah, I know the rest of who the voting public is. Yes.
Some guys are going to have 6,000 yards or whatever, and do they take completion percentage and how you operate an offense and all that into consideration? I doubt it.
Craig Haley, who runs it, good friend of ours, always maintains, because we were shocked when Trey Lance won it.
Yep.
He's like, Don, why were you surprised? I'm like, because
Easton got looked
the year
over.
Before, Easton Stick didn't win it, and he had an unbelievable year. That's why I'm surprised that Trey Lance did win it. So your point is well took there.
But Trey, what did he have? 27 touchdowns
and
without
no picks. No. By the way,
that's what
Cam
it takes.
Miller has 0 picks so far this season. And he's completing passes at
Cam,
78%.
if you throw one interception,
it's over.
You're done.
It's over. The one misstep he had was the fumble that happened late in the first half.
Great play by that Illinois State guy. Good hustle.
He's a good player. He actually got hurt later in the game. But the Bison were probably going to get points out of that too, Jeff. That was the thing. At halftime, looking at Kyle Emanuel,
14-7. It felt much more different.
It felt like 21. It should have been 21-7 or at least 17-7 at halftime. That's why I thought the opening drive of the second half, they just went right down the field and stuffed it down Illinois State's throat and scored. Like, okay, well, maybe they're not going to mess around here. And they scored 3 touchdowns in the third quarter, and that game was over after that. We come back, a couple of other news and nuggets to get to, including NDSU's going with a new provider.
Ooh.
And it appears the game is sold out for Saturday.
That's what I've been hearing.
We'll discuss that when Hot Mike returns on this, gotta get my day right, Monday morning. We're back after this. Back here on this Monday morning, Jeff Kolpack with us in the studio. Bison video blog coming up later today. I was looking at the NDSU ticket website, and it officially says at the very top, Jeffrey, sold out for Saturday's game for the University of North Dakota.
There it is.
So If you want to buy a ticket, you're going to have to go in the secondary market to go and do that, which that you want that for this football game, obviously. And with the backdrop of what happened last year in Grand Forks, you've covered, I don't know how many of these. I'll figure that out by the time we get to Saturday, so I'll have that number for you. But this one feels like it feels a little different now that UND's got one.
Is it
now,
a rivalry?
That's what I'm getting at. Now that UND's got one, I think now can we say
yes.
that, okay,
absolutely.
now maybe the schools are rivals again.
Not only did they get one, they really got one.
The way they got it in Grand Forks last year. So that's, I guess, my question. As the week goes on, do we feel a palpable tense and excitement for this football game on Saturday?
I would think so. I would hope so. When you it's
2 versus 7.
teams.
It's 2 and 7 in the country are playing one another here.
This ain't the NCC anymore.
No. My only argument that it should be the last game of the season, but I'll save that till another argument.
I'll give that up.
No, it's happening next year.
Is
it's
it?
the last game of the season next year.
Is that all because of you?
I'd like to think so, but it's probably not. But my point being, it's like, okay, now that we talked about this ad nauseum when UND got into the league, well, it's not a rivalry because the Bison have won, and they've won handily in the games that they played outside of the game that was in Grand Forks in 21. Now UND flipped it with what happened last year. And boy, what they're doing offensively, Jeff, is awfully impressive because they lost 4 of their 5 offensive line starters. They're starting Simon Rumfo, who nobody thought would be the starting quarterback when this season began, and they're running the ball. We're talking about Illinois State. UND's running game is awfully good.
I think Isaiah Smith's really good. Yeah. We talk about Marty Brown, Isaiah Smith's, and he's been around too.
He has. Him
Minneapolis
and Zebarth
kid.
both.
Yep. Zebarth gets the tough yards. They got it down, but I think it all goes back to how good Bo Belquist is. I just think he's that good. He makes that much of a difference with everybody else.
I think, honestly, and this is a shout-out to Sean Costa, who's been on the show, their special teams, we talk about how good the Bison special teams are. UND special teams are really good. They won the football game for them against Montana. They won, and on Saturday, they made 3 separate special teams plays in the route of Murray State. You can't overlook that in a game like this.
And you go back to Montana, that was the big confidence builder. Down big at half.
24-7 at halftime in that game.
Yeah, we thought, okay, this maybe the offensive line being new, everything's just sort of caught up to the team, and they rallied and wow, that's to me that you talk about putting a little swag in your team. That'll do it when you're down big to Montana and you roll the second half.
The interesting part to me is it changed. Okay, it changed once with them beating the Bison. It changed a whole other thing. If they come to Fargo and win, that would be a monstrous. Bubba Schweigert cried last year after the win over the Bison. I don't know what. It might bawl if they win in Fargo on Saturday. That might be totally different.
How long has Bubba been there now?
This is his 11th year.
Yep. Steady growth. Just But
the thing is, they have not been able to capitalize on it. They finally did. They beat Montana, right? And they didn't have the hiccup the following week. They beat Idaho State. If they're able to get this one, knowing full well, and we pointed out in the first segment of what they have lying in wait.
Obviously, the next step is to win on the road.
Correct. That's the thing that has been the albatross over this football team is they're you meant Jekyll and Hyde. They're amazing at the Alaris, and they are less than stellar on the road. That's just been a common theme. When you go back last year, they beat the Bison. The next week, they got shut out at Northern Iowa. Shut out at Northern Iowa. It was also a no-show game there that they just did not play well. And I'm really interested to see how this Bison defense is going to stack up against this UND run game on Saturday.
What do we think of Murray State in the Valley? Football?
I think we all know what we think of Murray State in the Valley. It's a great ad. Good work.
Yeah,
good work on that.
Wow.
It's played out exactly how we thought it would on that.
Yeah, I'll never forget that press conference. Was it Zoom or I can't remember what it was, but Murray State, the AD getting on there and the booster club, and we're going to invest in football and we're going to do this and that, and oof.
So far, not so great. The other big news out of Fargo this morning is a release came out that North Dakota State and Under Armour have entered a new apparel agreement that'll take place effective July 1, 2025, that Under Armour will be NDSU's exclusive official outfitter and supplier of athletic apparel, footwear, and accessories to all Bison teams, coaches, and athletic department staff. It has been Nike I don't know if you know the answer on that. It's been a while on Nike, but now they're going to Under Armour. It says North Dakota State consulted with Leona that's an acronym, to fully explore all options to negotiate a contract that provides great value to NDSU. As part of the agreement, NDSU will have a direct relationship with Under Armour for design, ordering, and fulfillment, which is expected to improve access to apparel and equipment for the Bison.
Yeah, I don't know the difference yet, and looking into this today, by the way, but all I know about Under Armour, I like their golf shoes.
The last thing I'll highlight is equipment. Does that mean a new helmet?
White helmet.
And maybe not even white, but I think that might be.
Do you think going to the
table.
Harvest helmet last week made a difference?
Does it make a difference? No. It certainly doesn't hurt.
See, that surprises me
Doesn't
because
hurt.
you are such a uniform groupie that
Well,
you
I'll
think
tell
it
you
makes
this.
all the difference in the world.
I'll tell you this. When they came out for warm-ups and the specialists, I saw Caleb Bowers, who's the long snapper, and I saw Caden Steindorf. And Steindorf winked at me because he was holding the helmet. He goes, "Oh, okay, so they're wearing
Well, I think it's a better
they're wearing
look.
the green one. Oh, it's the best look.
On the road.
I have made no bones about it. That the best look for them, for North Dakota State on the road, is the green helmet, the white jersey, and the green pants. By far. That's the one they should go with. But they don't consult me on that. So they should.
They should,
But they don't.
yeah.
And I'd even say the all green, it's pretty good too.
Is that coming back this week?
I don't think they're going to mess with tradition this week. I think they'll probably stick to, unless they bring out maybe an older helmet, maybe. Like Snorty came out, remember that a few years ago?
The logo.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
They might very well go and do that. I am interested, Jeff, we get to this game, what the environment of the Dome is like. Like, I remember vividly.
Yeah, we'll go back to what it used to be.
So, you remember 2015 when they played for the first time? It was amped. There was a lot of UND fans there at the Dome that day, and the Bison won big, but you felt it. 2019, a little bit. And then the last couple of years, remember they played in the COVID spring, and it was okay. The games in Grand Forks have been electric, but the games in Fargo, I thought, have lost a little momentum. I wonder if we get it back here on Saturday.
I guess the question is, will fans program themselves to be around and make a difference for 4 quarters?
Correct. That was my point on that. So will they stay? It looks, again, by the way, the weather's going to be pretty good.
2:30 starts, so instead of having reservations at Labby's at 4, do you hold off on it?
By the way, email comes into the show. I appreciate this. Nike exclusive for the last 7 years. They've been with that.
I thought it was
remember
longer than that.
So
Okay.
Nike's been exclusive with the Bison for the last 7. So now they're going to
I don't know.
to UA on that.
I guess, do the kids care? Maybe they do.
I think they care more than you.
The swoosh makes a difference.
No, but I'm saying how they look matters a whole deal.
Yeah.
That's a
I guess
big deal.
my question was, does a swoosh make a difference?
I don't know.
You know, like the Air Jordan.
I think in the basketball
of
sense,
many years ago.
I think it does. I'm not so sure on football. In the basketball world, that probably is a way bigger deal than it is in football.
So Under Armour, Maryland, right?
Yes.
You immediately think of Maryland.
Yep.
Because
That's where they're based out of.
And all the crazy stuff Maryland wears. I don't think they're going there.
I would doubt. I don't think they're going to go on that end. I am, just a final point on this, on the UND game before we go. With I already saw it on my timeline. You may have seen it as well, that the talking is there that wasn't in past years either, which I thought would happen when UND would win between the fan bases. That
you think they've
it is already yes,
this
the
going on?
chirping is already started on that.
The chirping at the Mayville Cafe has started.
I think it started all over the state, frankly, and that's what you want. I know. I am of a belief that NDSU, SDSU is the rivals now. I have said that for a long time. I believe that. But it's nice now if this has some added steam, added excitement to it that it has not had in the Division I era. It finally has that now, I think.
Well, it all starts with the statewide pregame show.
Yeah, it does. We got that coming up
on linear
Saturday.
TV.
Yeah,
there's one station that covers this game that you can find
Kolpack.
on linear TV.
That is accurate.
We'll just leave it at that.
That's we don't have to leave it at that. We know exactly what
yeah.
you're talking about. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it, especially in an era now where some, the best games get plucked by national TV. The fact that we still get to do this one, I'm pretty pumped about it. And I think our whole crew is really excited about this one on Saturday. So looking forward to it. We'll see you later for Bison Video Blog here. So that's coming up about a half hour. We'll do that, and you can check that out later today at Inforum.com. Jeff Kolpack joins us each and every Monday here at 10. By the way, I got a lead email. Did you watch any of the President's Cup?
As much as I could.
Well, you did watch it.
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I can't believe it's still a
Well,
thing.
it's no Ryder Cup.
I can't.
but,
That's what
yeah.
I'm saying. I can't believe it's because we win every time. It's not like the Ryder Cup. We get our butts kicked.
I like it when we win, though.
Well,
don't you like it when we win?
I do. I can't. We don't. That's never a challenge in the President's Cup. Thanks,
so it's
Jeffrey.
not a rivalry.
No, it's not. It's one-sided. Max Watson, Fargo North. You'll love that. He joins us after winning the game for the Dragons. We come back on Hot Mic right after this.